Guys, Expliv is back with another terrifying horror movie. Today we're going to talk about a very interesting one. Our protagonist, Ah Wei, has a father who hasn't contacted him for 30 years. Ah Wei was 5 when his father ran away from home. Now, he suddenly texts Ah Wei, asking him to come over and catch up on their 30-year father-son relationship. Ah Wei couldn't refuse. After all, he's his biological father, and they hadn't severed ties. So Ah Wei went. The father lives on a secluded, uninhabited island. The two embrace tightly upon meeting. Then the father leads Ah Wei to the rooftop. The view from the rooftop is beautiful. The father asks Ah Wei to take a picture of the two of them and send it to his mother, telling her, "Hey, I'm here, doing very well, don't worry." Ah Wei immediately took out his phone, found a good angle, and was about to take a picture when his father suddenly grabbed the phone, saying, "Your phone has such a good camera. Where did you buy it?" But the next second, his hand slipped and the phone fell into the sea with a splash. Whether his father intentionally or unintentionally dropped the phone, Ah Wei was extremely angry. But then he thought, money is just an external thing, and it's rare to spend time with his father. It's not worth ruining his mood over something like this, so he suppressed his anger. However, in the days that followed, his father's behavior was very abnormal, not at all like he was trying to repair their relationship. For example, during conversations, his father always criticized him for being beaten, and whenever Ah Wei mentioned his mother, his father's personality would change drastically, either being sarcastic or full of complaints about her. But Ah Wei had previously heard his mother say that the reason his father ran away from home wasn't because of an argument or conflict between them. His mother didn't say what the specific reason was, and at night, Ah Wei often heard his father making phone calls to others talking about deals and bargaining chips. Finally, one day, Ah Wei, unable to bear the pent-up resentment any longer, finally exploded. 30 years! Why are you only remembering me and mom now? You have to give me an explanation. His father didn't answer, just kept drinking silently. Ah Wei pressed on. If you don't like me, why did you send me here? Hearing this, his father became angry, storming over to Ah Wei and berating him, telling him to leave immediately, growing increasingly enraged. Suddenly, his father grabbed a kitchen knife and lunged at Ah Wei. Ah Wei, stunned and terrified, admitted his mistake and begged his father for forgiveness. Unexpectedly, his father suddenly clutched his chest and collapsed to the ground. At first, Ah Wei thought his father had fainted from anger, but as evening fell, his father remained in that position, motionless, his eyes wide open. Ah Wei then realized his father was dead. The next morning, Ah Wei called the police. The police arrived late at night to investigate. After a brief look around and examining Ah Wei's father's body, they determined it was a natural death and told Ah Wei to stay at the villa until the forensic doctor could dislodge the body. After giving these instructions, Lao He, Old Black, prepared to leave. Before leaving, Lao He said meaningfully, "You look like an honest man, but your father doesn't." His eyes were filled with malice. These words made Ah Wei uneasy. Was there some unspeakable secret behind his father's departure? Later, the forensic doctor arrived and confirmed that his father died of a heart attack. Then, the forensic doctor delivered more bad news. The town had been flooded, and the hospital morgue was flooded and needed renovation. Therefore, the body was temporarily kept at the villa. And so, for the next few days, Ah Wei had to stay with his father's corpse. These days were incredibly difficult. Strange things kept happening, making the already timid Ah Wei even more frightened. Around midnight, while Ah Wei was sleeping, he suddenly heard a knocking sound coming from the drain. Ah Wei didn't think much of it as it was near the rats. He finally made it to dawn, and while he was using the toilet, he suddenly noticed a figure moving through the woods. The figure was even laughing at him. These strange events of the past few days had driven Ah Wei mad. He could only numb himself with alcohol. As the saying goes, alcohol emboldens the timid. Drunk, Ah Wei vented his anger from the past 2 days on his father's corpse, unleashing a torrent of insults. While cursing, Ah Wei lay down next to the body and fell asleep. When Ah Wei woke up, he noticed a wooden board in the corner that seemed to have been moved. Curious, he went over and pushed it aside. It turned out to be a hidden compartment containing a stack of photos, all pictures of him and his father when they were children. Why hide the photos? Ah Wei, filled with doubt, kept looking through the photos, but the more he looked, the more something seemed amiss. The father in the photos didn't resemble the father standing before him at all. They were clearly not the same person. If the person in the photos was his biological father, then who was this man? Where was his real father? Just as Ah Wei was filled with questions, he heard a noise coming from the rooftop, from under the carpet. Ah Wei lifted the carpet and discovered a basement underneath. Going inside, he saw a man covered in blood imprisoned. This man was Ah Wei's real father. Although he hadn't seen Ah Wei for over 30 years, he recognized him immediately. "My son, you've finally come." Ah Wei was completely bewildered and hurriedly asked what had happened. His father then told him to close the door so he could explain the whole situation. But just as Ah Wei closed the door and went to his father's side, they heard heavy footsteps coming from upstairs. Ah Wei asked who it was, and his father said it was the man who wanted to kill him. He told Ah Wei to quickly pick up the dumbbells on the floor, and when he came in, to smash them to death at the right moment. Then Ah Wei hid. The man arrived, pulled out a pencil, and threatened Weiba, demanding he reveal the whereabouts of the money, or he would lose his other eye. Weiba saw Away wasn't coming out and was about to spot him when Away suddenly rushed out, grabbing a dumbbell and throwing it wildly. He hit the man, but was also kicked. Taking advantage of this moment, the man escaped. Away quickly untied his father's restraints, and his father recounted the whole story. 30 years ago, due to their dire financial situation, Weiba orchestrated a kidnapping. He and 3 others kidnapped a wealthy woman, Sang Biao, the man who died of a heart attack, a long-haired man, the one who ran away, and a man named Dajuangzi. They successfully obtained a large ransom. Afterwards, since Weiba was the mastermind and the money was with him, he didn't want to share the spoils with the 3 men and secretly left the money with his wife. He quietly ran away from home to avoid trouble, but not long after, Sang Biao and his 2 accomplices found him and imprisoned him on this deserted island. They tortured him daily, demanding he hand over the money. Weiba refused to comply, so Sang Biao devised a plan. He impersonated Weiba and sent him a text message, luring him to this island to try and extract the whereabouts of the money. After hearing everything, Away was furious, wanting to drag the 3 men to Wanguang. Away then left with his father, intending to leave the island. Before leaving, Away went to the toilet. Pushing open the door, he found a fat man with a menacing face inside, probably Dazhuang. The 2 started fighting. Dazhuang, being so fat and with such a large stomach, had the upper hand and quickly knocked Away to the ground. Just as Dazhuang was gloating, Away noticed a fork on the ground. He picked up a fork and stabbed Dazhuang repeatedly in the back of his ear. Then he picked up a piece of cling film and whipped him repeatedly. He then wrapped the cling film around Dazhuang's face and smashed him repeatedly, finally finishing him off. After all this, Away carried his father out of the house. On the way, they encountered Changfa, who had pulled out a crossbow and was about to kill the father and son. But alas, they had both run out, and Changfa had tripped over a wall. However, unexpectedly, Away said his luggage was still inside the house with the family's beads on the suitcase. The father and son then discussed their next move. If they acted rashly, Away would be no match for Changfa, who had a crossbow. The father instructed Away to secretly hide it in the trunk of the car behind the diamond ring and then ambush him when he was off guard. After saying this, Away quickly hid in the trunk. Meanwhile, Changfa, sure enough, they found their family's beads on Away's suitcase. So Away took the suitcase and drove towards their house. However, halfway there, the long-haired woman stopped at a hotel, perhaps to relax. Away got out and went inside, prioritizing rooms where indescribable sounds were coming from. After trying each room, Away finally found the long-haired woman, only to find him being strangled by a blonde woman. Apparently, the long-haired woman's neck was dislocated and she was trying to correct it. Away's arrival interrupted her, and the angry blonde woman tightened her grip on Away's neck. At the same time, the long-haired woman picked up a needle from the ground and pierced Away's face. Away immediately closed his eyes, pretending to faint. After doing all this, the long-haired woman left the hotel and drove onto the highway. But shortly after, there was a loud crash. The car had crashed out of control into a road sign. It turned out that Away had taken precautions before entering the hotel, placing many nails on the highway. Away stumbled to the scene of the car accident, only to find the driver's seat empty. Then, a figure appeared in front of him, slowly walking forward. This person was Changfa, who had been injured in the accident. Seeing Changfa's severe injuries, Away didn't hesitate and killed him on the spot. Afterwards, Away returned to the island and sat down with his father, who was no longer breathing. They gazed at the distant sea and the story ended there. It was another low-budget film. Well, the atmosphere was very good, shifting from suspense to horror, but the ending was a bit weak. I won't say more about the rest. See you next time.